Good morning. Boker Tov, everybody. Welcome to our weekly Shaar Habitachon class. And good to see you all. We're going to start off with saying Tehillim for those that need a speedy recovery. And I will mention the names of the people that we have on our list. If you would like us to say Tehillim for anybody that you know that needs an extra dose of Refuah Shlema, feel free to put their name down. We have Yaakov Moshe ben Necha, Yehudis bas Sarah, Yitzchak Moshe ben Rachel Reza, Tzipor Hinda bas Rachel Miriam, Sarah bas Chana, Nucha bas Emmanuel, Yisrael ben Esther Golda, Nechama Dina bas Esther Hadassah, Henya Tzipora bas Chayu Cheved, Tuvi Moshe ben Pero, Liram Bracha bas Sheindel Leah, Rivka bas Chafitza, Leah bas Chafitza, Heniel Tova bas Temabasya, Moshe ben Miriam, Rachel bas Vega. We have someone here, Ruth bas Susan Sultana. We have Sarah bas Penina, Do ben Tova, Yitzchak Mechel ben Bracha, Malka bas Rezaleah, Yoshua ben Leah. And good morning, everybody. Good morning, Helga, Lauren. Good morning, Evelyn. Good morning. Okay, we'll get started. Good morning, Corinne. Everyone's slowly getting on, waiting for everyone to join us. Okay, good to see everybody. Hope everyone's having a great day so far. Good morning, Shirley. Okay. So, we're going to start with chapter Chaf. Don't forget to take your tzedakah. Gedel tzedakah shem b'karev says ha'geula. Put it into the tzedakah box. Good morning, Barb. And we'll say chapter Chaf. And by now, you all know it by heart. L'manatzeach mizmor l'David yancha dinar b'yam tzara yisagef Hashem el Yaakov yishlach ezrecha mikodesh u'mitzion yisadecha yiskar kol mechasecha v'alascha yidash nesela yiten lecha chavavecha v'chol atzascha yimalei nirana b'shusecha u'v'shem Eloheinu nidgol yimalei Adonai kol mashalasecha ata yadati ki yoshi Adonai mishicho yaneu mishmei kotra b'gvuras yesha yamino Ela v'recha ve'ela v'asosa menachnu m'shem Adonai Eloheinu naskir Hema karva nafal v'anachnu kamnu v'anisodad Adonai Hoshia melech hainenu v'yom karenu. Just want to let all of you know that we say Tehillim every week. Good morning, Kim. Good morning, Rosalie. Good morning, Barb. Every morning, every Tuesday morning when we say Tehillim for Yaakov Moshe ben Necha, who a very, very close friend in the Chabad Markham community, who needs a big refuah shalema. And this year, our Leil Shavuot, our Shavuos evening learning, which is June 4th this year, it's a Motzei Shabbat, Saturday night. We're having a big Shabbat, a big Shavuos supper, followed by learning in honor of a speedy recovery for Yaakov Moshe ben Necha. And this is Ian Abramowitz, and he's actually co-sponsoring this. He really feels very, very connected to Torah learning, and he asks all his friends to join us that night. It begins at 9:30 p.m. Okay, good morning, Rosalie, and he said today's learning will be for Gavriel Reuven ben Leora. Okay, so we are going to be concluding in Shaar Habitachon, Chapter 5. We're finally concluding Chapter 5, and we are on page 215. So if you have the book, you can join us. And this chapter, he was talking about how do people who live with bitachon, with trust, how is their life different than someone who has no trust? They believe in the economy, they believe in the government, they believe in themselves, they believe in their employer, they believe in humanity, that everything else sort of helps them with their life. But God is really not part of the picture because God created the world and he left. He's not really involved in the details. Do you know people like that? Any of you know people that are like, yeah, sure, I believe there's a God, but I mean, he's not involved in my day-to-day life. He doesn't care about my job, if I got a job, if I didn't get a job, if I made the train, if I missed the plane. That's not God. That's God's so much bigger. He's not involved in my everyday life. Do you know people like that? Or maybe you're someone like that. No? I know people like that. And they actually comment to me like, why do you trust God so much? Like, you think God is involved in all the details? And Rabbeinu Bachaya tells us the 7 differences. And we'll review the few that he spoke about. He said, first of all, he said, a person who has trust joyfully accepts even when the bad that comes his way, while a person who does not have trust, or bitachon, gets angry at God when bad things befall him. It's number 1. Number 2, a person who has bitachon will have peace of mind knowing that whatever God does for him is good. A person who does not have bitachon is constantly in pain and worry because he's never happy with his lot. Number 3, a person who has bitachon will continue to engage in his means of livelihood even if it isn't lucrative because he knows that his livelihood comes from God. A person who does not have bitachon, does not have trust, will only engage in those means that prove to bring material wealth in his pursuit of livelihood. So he's always running after the money and aggressively because he's scared if he doesn't, he won't have money. Number 4, a person who has bitachon, faith, will be generous with his money and use it for mitzvot, while a person who does not will not do so, and as a result, he will lose his money. Number 5, a person who has bitachon, trust, will engage only in means of pursuing the livelihood that promotes his Torah observance, while a person who does not have bitachon will engage in both permitted and forbidden means of obtaining his livelihood. So he might do things that are illegal, unlawful. He needs to make money. He forgets that the money comes from Hashem. So he pursues a job even if it's wrong. And unfortunately, those people get caught by the taxes, by government, suffer, struggle, because unfortunately they're pursuing the wrong type of livelihood. Number 7, which we did last week. A person who has bitachon will not see other people as a threat to his success, and he will therefore have many friends. Remember, we spoke about that last week. How to win friends. A person who does not have bitachon sees other people as a threat to his success and as the cause of his misfortune, and he will therefore not have real friends. He's scared that some of his friends want his money, his house, his wife, all his good things, because he doesn't trust that Hashem is in charge of everything that he has. He's so frightened, and because he's fearful, people don't befriend him and they keep away. But today we're going to learn the 7th, the last one. A person who has bitachon is primarily concerned about his spirituality and olam haba, while a person who does not have bitachon is concerned about his materialistic pursuit and not about spiritual matters. So last night, I watched a very interesting interview. And the woman was interviewing Joyce Azria. Anybody here heard of the famous popular store called BCBG? A very upper class clothing store. Has probably 150, 200 franchises. Anybody ever heard of them? BCBG? If you did, just give me a thumbs up so I'll know that you have heard of this store. Because what I think you might not know are the people who own this store. Okay, I see a lot of people heard of this company. Yes. Do you know who owns the BCBG brand? Anybody know their name? The family name? Okay, Dorit, you're in for an interesting surprise. Especially, specifically you, Dorit. Hi, good morning, Ava. The owners of BCBG is a Sephardic Jewish family by the name of Azria. The founder, his name is Max Azria, exactly. Do you know them, Evelyn? This guy, Max, has a daughter. Do you know the daughter's name? Evelyn. The daughter's name is Joyce. And let me tell you a little bit about Joyce and how that's right, Joyce, she does a lot of public speaking. So how does Joyce fit into our 7th title and 7th confirmation that Rabbeinu Bachaya says in the book, Shaar Habitachon? And he says like this: if you are constantly in pursuit of materialism, if that is your life, right? You are plagued by the secrecy and you're plagued about having wealth and materialism, and you're worried what's going to happen in 10 years from now. So you're working every day. You work extra hours. You are hoarding your wealth and your materialism because, well, what's going to happen in 5 years from now? What's going to happen in 10 years from now? You don't trust Hashem will take care of. So you're worried, and you don't have time to study Torah. You don't have time to come to synagogue because you got to work. You got to work, because if you don't have a lot of money in the bank, what's going to happen when you're 60 and 70 and 80? Because it's all about you, right? You have to make the money. You have to put it in the bank account. You have to protect it. You have to watch it, because otherwise, oh my gosh, you're going to be left without financial stability. You'll be left without a home. You'll be in the street. Really. And Hashem has no play in your life. And Hashem has no concern about you. So those of us, you and me, who learn Shaar Habitachon, and we trust and we know Hashem will take care of us, we go to work and then we relax. We wake up on Shabbat, we come to Shul to say thank you to Hashem, to be part of a Jewish community, to get infused with learning. Every person must study Torah daily. Everyone. Even if it's 10 minutes a day. You know, in our shul, I give a class to the women every Shabbat morning. Because we know that we have to connect to our source. There's no way a person can have trust in God if they don't study. Am I right? Give me a thumbs up if you think I'm right, or give me a hands down if you think I'm wrong. You can't just say, I have trust. We need to water our trust. We need to nurture our bitachon. And that only comes from studying. Studying Torah, connecting to Hashem's wisdom, is what gives us the trust. Arlene says, I'm not worried about financial matters, only about good health. You don't have to worry about good health, Arlene. That's the point. You don't have to worry. You connect to Hashem, you don't have to worry. Worry is a waste of time, breath, and energy. Arlene, do you hear that? Let's breathe in bitachon. Breathe out anxiety. You don't have to worry. Your God who loves you will give you health. He will give you everything you need. Trust in Him. Worrying means you don't trust that He's in control. That's a blanket statement saying, I'm worrying because I don't have a God to worry for me. I don't have a God that cares for me, so I will have to worry. This is the whole point. When you don't have bitachon, you worry. Stop worrying and let go and let God. And if you're always worried, Barb, you need to study Torah more. It means this half-hour class that we have, I'm not doing enough. Go on to Chabad.org and look up classes. Watch classes more often throughout the day. At least it is human nature, but there are very big differences, Elaine. There are people that are struck with anxiety and worry and have a basic worry, but not enough that it consumes them. That most of the day is refocusing their mind on joy. You know what? Last week I was very vulnerable with all of you. And I find that this happens on a regular basis because I'm human like you. The worry comes into your head all the time. But because I learned Shaar Habitachon, I'm able to reframe. I'm able to take a negative matter that happened, okay? Something that really happened, but I reframe it and I don't allow myself to focus on it. We are, when we spoke about Tanya, and we learned Tanya for a year, we learned the art of reframing. That negative reality, which is what we talk about, the negativity bias, that every human being has automatically. That is the human condition. But you and I who are studying for so many months, we have to master the ability to do moach shalit alalev. We can take our mind and switch channels. When you're watching something on TV and you don't like what you're watching, do you sit there and kvetch? Oh, what a boring show. Oh, what a boring show. Oh, there's so many commercials. Oh, I can't stand it. It's so vulgar. It's so, whatever you say when you watch TV. Or do you take your clicker and you change it? Guys, that's what we have to do with our mind. Take the clicker and change your thoughts. Those thoughts are not your reality. There's two sides to everything. And some people will dwell on the negative and what will be and what's going to happen if, and oh my goodness, did you know? Or the other person who is positivity biased, who has Hashem's trust in his heart and in his mind, will say, you know what? It could be that bad is going to happen, but it also could be that something good is going to turn out. Why do I have to be negativity biased? So this woman, back to Joyce Azria, the daughter of Max, she was a woman full of anxiety, and she publicly talks about this. She had to open hundreds of stores. She was the new face of BCBG, young, vibrant, gorgeous woman, adorable, outgoing, and she was full of anxiety. And you would think, why is she anxious? She's wealthy, she's brilliant, she's attractive, she's got all the money in the world, she has a husband. What is there to be anxious about, right? You could look at her and say, Joyce, what's your problem? If I had your life, I wouldn't be anxious. Wrong. The human condition is to be anxious. And Hashem gives us tools to get out of that. And lovely Joyce talks about how she, having gone from one therapist to another therapist, 4 years of therapy and no help, no salvation, until, of course, she found what? She found Chassidus. She found Torah. She found Hashem. And she reframed everything. She says she started bringing Shabbos in. Lighting candles didn't do it for her. By the way, guys, when you light Shabbos candles, and that's all you do for Shabbat, is that enough? No. It's after you light the Shabbos candles, you put away your phone. And the table's set for Shabbos. And your husband goes to shul or not, but then after it's dark, you make Kiddush. And you have family guests and guests from the community. You have the challah, you have the wine, you have the candles. No technology, just family, community, God. Then you are free of anxiety. Because people who do Shabbat by lighting candles but sit down with their phone and technology, that's not Shabbos. You did the mitzvah of lighting candles, but that's not Shabbos. You need to let go and let God. And that's what Joyce did. She had all of the big shots in Hollywood at her home. And she says she had Beyonce, and she had Robert Downey Jr. I'm telling you names of people I don't know. Robert Downey Jr. They would all come to their house, and they watched her. And they saw her transformation. She kept one Shabbos, And then she kept another Shabbos. And suddenly she realized that she didn't need her therapy. She listened when she was invited to her rabbi's home, how the rabbi was singing Ishes Chayil to his wife. And she was transported, she says, to another place. No, Dorit, she did not write a book yet, actually. And she sees that her rabbi is singing Ishes Chayil, and she realizes, this is the Yiddishkeit I want. I don't want the hokey-pokey Judaism that people just do a little stuff and continue with their Saturday. That's not for me. And suddenly, she felt comfortable. And she felt herself beginning to enjoy life because she had a new view on living. And she said she was able to see life almost like a bird's view. She was able to watch her life from the outside in. She's now a mother of 7 children. The oldest is 9. No, she has a 15-year-old, and then she has a gap, and then she had 6 more children from 9 to 2 years old. And she says that I realized that because I'm present, and because I brought God into my life, I'm able to focus on my children. Because when Shabbat starts, I don't think about BCBG. And I don't care that I have to open 150 stores next week. I trust Hashem. And if my stores will be successful, it's because God gives me the blessing. And when does God give me blessing? If I do his mitzvahs. So the bottom line is this. When are you worried? When you don't do enough mitzvot because you're scared Hashem is not going to give you the blessings. Just add on mitzvot. Add on charity. Add on davening. Then you know Hashem's got your back. Because you trust him, he'll give you what you need. And she learned this book of Shaar Habitachon 4 times. 4 times. And listening to her interview and listening to her share her story, I realized what a magical transformation she had. She did slowly, slowly, one step at a time, Shabbos candles, Kiddush, and then she brought Shabbat into Saturday. Because Shabbat doesn't end Friday night, right? Shabbat is 25 hours. So she woke up Saturday morning and she didn't run and take her children to soccer or dance or hockey. She didn't do shopping and she didn't mow her lawn. She just went to synagogue and let herself go and immersed herself in the prayers and opened the Siddur and read her own prayers, said her own words. But just being the environment of a Torah, of community, it was sending God the message, I'm letting go and I'm bringing in God. Letting go, get God. And that has taken away her anxiety. And listening to this adorable woman, a mother of 7, juggling her role in BCBG, she is the face of one of the most successful stores in the world today. A gorgeous Sephardic woman, wasn't raised with so much mitzvot, but has since realized that if she wants success in anything she does, she's got to bring God more into her life. Because God is your partner. And that's how she runs her store. The similar story of Lord and Taylor that I've told a few times. Why is Lord and Taylor so successful? Because Mr. Taylor brought Lord in as a partner. Yeah. Bring in Hashem into your life. And that takes your anxiety away. You thank Hashem every morning. You thank Hashem throughout the day. And no one is too busy to open up a siddur. Nobody is too busy to open up a siddur and say chapter Tehillim. Because we all have time to go onto our social media. We all have time to go running for a half hour or an hour. We have time. Carve out time to our source of blessing. You know, there are people that will say, as soon as I have all my ducks in a row, as soon as I have everything organized for my future, then I'll give my time to God. And at that time, we might be dead. I don't want to be morbid, But that time might be when you're 85 or 90 years old and it's too late to start making connection. And your kids lost out because they didn't see role models. And we worry frantically about our children. Who are they going to be involved with at college? Who are they going to marry? Are they going to smoke? Are they going to drink? Are they going to sleep around? Are they going to marry their own people? We're so worried. Let's live a truthful, honest Jewish life. A life full of Torah. You know, I have a friend whose children aren't necessarily religious, but she comes to shul every Shabbos. And one day her daughter says to her, Mom, come downtown on Saturday. Let's go hang out. And she tells her daughter, oh, but you know, I go to synagogue on Saturday. I go to shul. And her daughter says, but you're not religious. She goes, what do you mean religious? I go to shul. That's what a Jewish woman does. And her daughter was blown away by her mother's connection. And she said to me, you know, Goldie, I'm not religious, but I come to synagogue every Shabbat. And my children know who I am. They know what my priorities are. They know what is important to me. And that's a strong message when you have young people and they don't know what your living legacy is. They don't know who you are. I mean, they see our regular life. We get up, we go to work, we're happy, we share things, but they don't really know what's in our hearts. People think they'll put that in their will. No. A living legacy we start living now. We tell our children right now what is important to me. That if you marry out of the faith, I will jump off the roof. There, I said it. We can have conversations. Do we accept? That's a different story. Right now, your kids have to know while they're dating what your focus is. That you don't eat ham and bacon. That you keep kosher. And let your children see that it's a struggle sometimes. Because it's a little bit more expensive. But where does our money come from? It comes from Hashem. Think about this year what's going on in Israel. Anybody know what's happening in Israel? It is the land that is right now respecting the laws of Shemitah. Shemitah is the year, the 7th year, when we leave the land fallow, which means the farmers do not work the land. Now, speaking to those that are specializing in agriculture, they will tell you every land needs time to recoup its energy. It needs to rest. So Hashem gave the Jews the blessing that when you keep the laws of Shemitah, you will have an abundance the years afterwards, and you could live on that wealth for the year of Shemitah when you don't have to work the law of the land. Now that, exactly, Arlene, now that is very, very, very hard for someone who trusts in his physical reality. He works every day, he sows and he plows and he brings out the great, beautiful harvest, sells that to make a living. To tell him you can't do that for a year, that is mighty, mighty hard. And that means you've got a lot of trust in God. And these farmers in Israel respect this law. Just like we respect the Shabbat. Right? God says, work for 6 days, work hard. 7th day, don't work. Because if you work, none of the money that you make on Shabbat will stay in your bank account. It will go. It will be lost. I don't know how. Maybe with fixing cars, fixing roofs, calling exterminators, getting electricians, hopefully not hospital bills. But the money that you make on Shabbat, Hashem says, will not be yours. Work 6 days. Work hard. But put your trust that you will have everything you need. You will not become any richer because you work on Shabbat. Take Joyce Azria, one of the founders of one of the greatest women's clothing empires in the world. Not only does she not work on Shabbos, but she studies Torah. She keeps Shabbat. She gives tzedakah. And she has led a purposeful, meaningful life. So what is our message today? The last part of chapter 5 in Habitachon. Don't work hard every day because you're worried what's going to be when you're old. Work enough that you can be comfortable. In fact, there's an interesting pasuk in the Talmud that says, the day before you die, one does tshuva. And the question is asked, but you don't know the day before you're going to die. Ah, says the Talmud. That's why you got to do tshuva every day. Live purposeful Jewish lives every day. Because if you do, then you will know that every day you are ready for what happens tomorrow. Don't worry about your ducks in a row. Be responsible, have a good job, but don't toss and turn all night. Just say Shema before you go to sleep and say, Hashem, I worked hard, I gave it my best, now you shower me down with blessings. Wishing you an amazing week. Take care.